Alright, so I wanted to make this video before I got into the experience, but I forgot. And now that, the peak has just about started for this Motherwort, shamanic experience, I was sitting here getting ready to lay on the floor, right? And it reminded me of the experience I had yesterday, where Motherwort has thresholds where, at a high enough dose, it can open up this shamanic experience. And it reminded me of ketamine. How, low doses of ketamine are just peaceful. It's a vibe, right? You take some ketamine, you just feel peaceful, it's low doses, whatever. But as soon as you take a high enough dose, that ketamine then floors you to the where you're laying on the floor, and you can have a psychedelic like experience where it's a deeper experience than just doing low doses of it vibing with your friends. um I found that motherwort is the same, and blue lotus and a lot of other plants that I use shamanically are very similar, where ketamine's also this thing where you can fight it. Motherwort, Blue Lotus, they're much easier to fight than something like ketamine, but you could still fight it. So if you take a high dose of ketamine, you can, if you don't lay down, let's say you fight it, you get up, you start doing things, you start moving around, you start whatever, you can fight it. But if in that experience you stopped moving, you then laid down and you stopped fighting the experience and you let go to it, it can then open up into a deeper experience. And I found that Motherwort is so similar, where it's like I can lay down, and once I let go to it, just start staring at the ceiling, listening to this frequency playing in the background. And then it's like, after laying here, staring at the ceiling for 15, 20 minutes, this state starts to open up. Um, and it's like I think about it with mushrooms, where it's like you can take an eighth of mushrooms and party with your friends. But that same eighth of mushrooms, if you took and you laid down and you put a blindfold on, you would have a different experience. It would be a deeper spiritual shamanic experience. So that's what I mean, where it's like I'm taking motherwort shamanically. I'm inducing that experience, pushing it past that threshold, um, by letting go to it. So I let go to it yesterday, and I was literally rolling around on the floor. Once I let go to it, and to me, it was like I was dozing in and out of consciousness. But I had someone here, and they seen me rolling around on the floor, and it was that thing of, for me, it was like I was dozing in and out of consciousness. One minute I'm just laying on the floor staring at the ceiling. The next minute my legs are on the couch, but my back is on the floor, and I'm just staring at the ceiling. The next second I'm rolling back and forth on the floor, back and forth, just rolling. But I don't know how to explain it, but it was like I was entering a trance of some sort. And as I was entering this trance, I was doing these things, rolling. Then, I started stretching, and, as I was laying on the floor, just stretching. But, I've had my back pain started coming back again. And, it's like I was stretching in a way where the back pain was going away, stretching out that back. Um, it was such an interesting experience, because I've noticed that at those high doses, it and it hasn't fully kicked in yet, so that's why I'm able to still, speak. But those high doses, it's like I was out of it, bro. Those doses last about 5 hours. Low doses of motherwort last about 3 hours. Um, but it's like, once you let go to it, you're just in that state, that thing. And now I sometimes I'll do a little bump of some other word, or whatever. If you know, you know. what that means, or like, snuffs, like little whatever herbal snuff, of the motherwort on the peak will help boost it. Um, I do that if I don't have like any like clipdaga leaves or like wild daga flowers or whatever, because smoking some wild daga on the peak of the motherwort is also a good way to like boost that thing and to help um produce that, like push past that threshold, I guess, if you didn't take enough. Um, there's also a tolerance with motherwort, so it's like I took the same amount that I did yesterday, but I noticed that it didn't feel as strong, so I took a little more. So that's why I'm like, well, it hasn't fully kicked in yet, but it's definitely starting to, because it's just one of these things where I just, you're looking at the world, but it's like you're looking past it. Like, you know how like you can zone out, and it's like you could be zoning out, and let's say you're zoning out, and you're zoning out towards someone, like, and it looks like you're looking at someone, but that person says, why are you looking at me? And you tell them, well, I wasn't looking at you. I was looking past you, or looking, I couldn't even see you. Like, it's like you can zone out. So like at these high doses, that's what starts to happen. Like you start to just want to zone out, and you feel slightly out, like you're in the world, but you're looks like you're zoned out of it a little bit. Um, you're also zoned out of your thoughts in that way as well. So like I'm not necessarily thinking as much. Um, and at those high doses, something happens to the mind, where the mind gets affected in like I don't want to say like you have like a delirious way of thinking, but kinda, because like when I was rolling on the floor, I was sitting there kind of just making some weird noises, and like like trying to, like, it's like I was clearing my throat, clearing my vocal cords, like kind of how you meditate and it's a sound. But sound can heal. But if you start making weird sounds in general in public, and people will start thinking you lost your mind. But in this state, you don't think about any of that, how you're perceived, whatever you. It's just you're in the state of being. Just, I don't know, and it's so hard to explain. But the closest thing I've ever heard to explain the shamanic motherwort experience is Amanita muscaria mushrooms. Now, I've never done them, but I really want to, because I just want to compare it to the shamanic motherwort experience, because there seems to be weird similarities. Like, you take a high enough dose, they can both kind of, you're almost in this state where you're like dozing in and out of consciousness, or you're like in this state where you can be, it can have a slight delirium of the mind, it can have this thing, and it's not a typical psychedelic trip, but it is an experience. And Motherwort is so similar. And I've been talking about Motherwort since 2017. It has become one of my favorite plants since 2017. Um, because these experiences, like I haven't tripped since November, like a psychedelic, since November of 2024. So, but I haven't even thought about it. Like, because the thing that I'm getting from the motherwort is the thing that I'm noticing that I need. Like, I'm on this constant progression of growth. And it's like, if I don't want to do something over and over again and be stagnant, it's like I need movement. So, the peace that I've been getting from these experiences, you know how like a psychedelic experience is just kind of chaotic, especially LSD. It's chaotic and all over the place and wild. Motherwort is a little all over the place as well, but in a much more calmer and peaceful way. Where for 4 hours, right? Like for 4 hours of the experience, I just sat and laid on the floor in this peaceful thing. I don't know how to, this tranquil, I don't know, dozing in and out of consciousness, slight delirious, slight something. I had a moment of laughter where I broke out in laughter. Um, and it reminds me of something, of kind of like a trip. So it has these things that are very like a psychedelic, but it's definitely not a psychedelic. Um, but like I said, the closest thing I've ever heard that's like close to the experience that I've experienced with the shamanic dose of it is Amanita muscaria mushrooms. Like the experiences I've heard Amanita Dreamer talk about, I think that's her YouTube name. Um, but the things I've heard her talk about and her experiences with it and other people's experiences, I've seen this Hamilton Morris's documentary about Amanita muscaria, um, and it's like it shares similarities. Motherwort also shares similarities with Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds, but obviously nowhere near as psychedelic. To me, it shares more similarities with Amanita muscaria. But before I did enough research on Amanita muscaria, I was comparing the shamanic motherwort experience to the shamanic, like Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds experience, because both of them, it's like, well, now at the time I only did one motherwort plant, so Leonoris cardiaca. So I didn't know that the other motherwort plants will have a similar effect, but I didn't realize that some of them might have energy to them. So now I like to mix them. So right now I'm on Leonoris cardiaca and Leonoris japonicus, and I've been exploring with this. And yesterday was the first time I've had a shamanic breakthrough with this, because I've been using it for almost like about, I think it's been like 31 days now. 31 days of me using motherwort basically almost every day. I take a day or two break once in a while, but like just for tolerance reasons. But like yesterday was the 30th, and it was the first time I had a shamanic experience, like a real breakthrough, I guess you can call it, with the thing, where I reached that trance state. So then it made me realize, like, it reminds me so much of Amanita muscaria, because someone can do Amanita muscaria like 30 times, and finally the 31st time they finally have a shamanic experience with it. But most of the time people are just having they describe it as like nice and calm and this and that, like just a certain feeling, but not necessarily a shamanic experience. And it reminds me of Motherwort, where I've been talking about Motherwort since 2017, but the people that report back to me about their experiences usually say like it was nice, but it wasn't this shamanic thing. And it's like, that's why it's like you got to work with the plant, get to know the plant, and get to understand it, and understand that, like, because we're used to just traditional psychedelics, we're used to taking the plant or substance and we want it to have this shamanic experience, and it gives it to us. And it's like with Motherwort, I don't know, I've had to get to know her. Like, feels like I've gotten to know somebody, and it's like I know her buttons, and I know what buttons to push and what buttons not. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but and yeah, and I also now understand that delirious mindset. So like, I'm cautious with it. So in those high states, I try not to think too much, and I just sit in the blissfulness of the just peace. I don't know, but it's kicking in stronger, and I'm less and less wanting to talk. So I'm just gonna get into that experience and just let go to it. So I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.